Welcome back, my students, to Chapter 6, Biochemistry, Carbohydrates. The last part of the carbohydrates, or disaccharides, we call them polysaccharides. We have discussed the monosaccharides and the disaccharides. Here we have to discuss the last part, what you call it, yes, polysaccharides. Polysaccharides, the general formula for polysaccharides is C6H10O5 by N. This N should be more than 10 units of monosaccharides. Why we write this formula? Because if you have C6H12O6, remove H2O. Remove H2O from the general formula C6H12O6. Okay, so you will get, decreases by 2, yes, and this is decreases by 1, removed as what? As H2O. So condensation or more than 10 units of monosaccharide, we will get what? Yes, polysaccharides. Condensation, it means removing water from the monosaccharides. So they are polymers, it means many molecules of more than 10 units of what? Of monosaccharides. We have two types of them, starch and cellulose. All of them contain only glucose units. So the monosaccharides, here in starch and cellulose is what? Is glucose. These ones are non-reducing sugar. Okay, like what? Like the sucrose, non-reducing sugar. Now slightly soluble in water. They hydrolyze in presence of mineral acids or enzymes forming large number of monosaccharides. What are the monosaccharides that are formed? Yes, it is the glucose. We will study only starch. It is present in most of plants, stored in the grains and seeds. This is the part of the starch, one part of the starch. Look, we have glucose, joined with each other. The physical properties of starch, it is sparingly soluble in cold water, maybe only, 20% only, dissolve in water. When it's heated, it forms a shining adhesive solution, which changes to gelatinous substance by cooling. The chemical properties of starch. The hydrolysis of starch into glucose in the presence of mineral acids or inside the body by enzymes. Here we have the starch. Hydrolysis of starch give us dextrin, and this dextrin, hydrolyzes into maltose, and maltose to the glucose. If you write it the opposite, this is the formation. Glucose and glucose give us maltose, then the opposite up to starch. But the hydrolysis of starch, the last unit is what? Yes, it is glucose. This is very important point. Starch is non-reducing sugar. Like what? Like sucrose. But how can you distinguish starch? Starch is distinguished by adding iodine. So starch reacts with iodine, gives blue color in cold iodine solution. And this reaction is used to identify the presence of starch. So here this is starch, the iodine, it gives us what? Deep blue color. So this experiment is used to distinguish starch among other saccharides. This is also very important point. Now this is the starch. Look, a little amount of starch dissolves in water. This is suspended, solution. When you add iodine, so you will get this solution. It is what? It is deep or dark blue, solution. This color, yes, this is the experiment to distinguish what? To distinguish starch. Now, how can you detect, carbohydrates in general if you have proteins or carbohydrates or other substance? We have a test, we call it, related to the scientist. His name is Molish. We call it Molish test. It contains alpha naphthol and we use sulfuric acid. If we add, alpha naphthol to any type of carbohydrates, then adding some drops, on the test tube, okay, of the mixture, you will get the violet or purple ring. So this one distinguish what? The carbohydrates. Thank you for listening, and up to here we have finished the carbohydrates. Then inshallah I will meet you in the proteins.